The storm had raged for 3 days without mercy, a screaming white abyss that devoured mountains, sky, and hope alike, burying the world beneath endless sheets of ice and deathly cold, and within that frozen wasteland lay 2 colossal dragons, once rulers of the skies, now chained and broken, their immense bodies half buried in snow, frost clinging to their crystalline scales like shackles of winter itself, the iron chains wrapped around their necks and horns dug deep into their flesh, etched with ancient runes meant to suppress their fire, their magic, their very will to live, and as the blizzard howled like a chorus of ghosts, the dragons struggled to breathe, each exhale forming clouds of mist that quickly vanished into the storm. Their wings, once capable of blotting out the sun, were torn and frozen, their talons cracked, their muscles weakened by starvation and endless captivity, and yet, within their glowing eyes, one ember, one electric blue, there still burned the embers of ancient pride and rage, a defiance that refused to be extinguished. For centuries they had been hunted, enslaved, and exploited by kings and tyrants who feared their power, forced to serve as weapons of war, chained like beasts while cities rose upon their suffering, and now, discarded and left to die when their strength finally waned, they waited for the end, listening to the storm and the slow rhythm of their fading hearts. The larger dragon, Caelthrix, lifted his frost-coated head with great effort, his voice a rumbling whisper carried by the wind as he spoke to his sister, Virelia, whose breathing had grown shallow and uneven. So this is how dragons die, not in flame, not in battle, but in chains and snow. And Virelia's response was weak yet filled with bitterness. Humans fear what they cannot control, and they destroy what they cannot own. As snow piled upon their backs and icicles formed along their jaws, moments stretched into eternity, time losing meaning in the endless white, until something unexpected disturbed the stillness, a faint crunch, slow and deliberate, cutting through the storm like a whisper of rebellion. At first, the dragons thought it was merely the wind or another hallucination born from their fading consciousness, but then it came again. Crunch, crunch, closer this time. Caelthrix narrowed his glowing eye, forcing his frozen muscles to shift, scanning the blinding storm, while Virelia lifted her head with the last of her strength, and through the swirling snow they saw it, a silhouette, small, fragile, and impossibly upright against the fury of the storm. A human, the very word burned like poison in their minds. Another tormentor. Caelthrix growled weakly, "Come to watch us die." But the figure did not carry chains, nor banners, nor weapons of conquest. Instead, the human stumbled forward, wrapped in torn winter gear, face hidden beneath a frost-covered hood, each step a battle against exhaustion and cold. When the figure drew closer, the dragons could see trembling hands gripping a faintly glowing blade, not raised in threat, but used as a staff to keep from collapsing. Snow clung to the human's boots, breath ragged, eyes burning with determination that seemed absurd for such a fragile creature. The human stopped a few paces away from the dragons, staring up at their colossal forms, fear flickering for a moment before being swallowed by something stronger, resolve. Caelthrix bared his frozen fangs, expecting mockery or cruelty, but instead the human spoke in a voice nearly lost to the storm. "Easy. I'm not here to hurt you," and the words struck the dragons harder than any blade ever had. No human had spoken to them like equals in centuries. Virelia let out a weak, rasping laugh. "Lies. Humans only take, they only chain." But the human shook his head, stepping closer despite the risk of being crushed by a twitch of their massive bodies. "I've seen what they did to you," he said, kneeling in the snow before them, "and I won't let you die like this." And with that, he reached toward the heavy chains, his gloved fingers brushing the frozen metal. The dragons recoiled in shock, memories of pain and enslavement surging through them, but the human did not flinch. Instead, he drew the glowing blade and brought it down against the chain, sparks flying as the enchanted steel resisted. Caelthrix watched in disbelief as the human struck again and again, each blow fueled by grit, defiance, and something deeper, anger at injustice. "Why?" Caelthrix demanded, voice trembling. "Why would a human risk their life for us?" The human paused, breath heavy, snow gathering on his shoulders as he looked up at the dragon's glowing eye and answered simply, "Because not all humans are the same, and someone has to prove it." And in that moment, as the storm roared and the world seemed determined to erase them all, the dragons felt something they had not known in centuries, hope. With a final desperate strike, the blade cracked the chain, magic shattering like glass, and the first shackle fell away, clattering into the snow. Virelia gasped as warmth surged faintly back into her veins, her suppressed power stirring like a sleeping inferno. The human staggered but did not stop, moving to the second chain, his strength nearly gone, fingers bleeding beneath torn gloves, yet he continued, driven by sheer will. When the final link broke, the chains fell away completely, and for the first time in ages, the dragons were free. Caelthrix lifted his head higher, frost breaking from his scales as ancient power surged back into his massive body, while Virelia spread her damaged wings, shaking loose centuries of despair. The storm still raged, but it no longer felt like a death sentence. It felt like a battlefield, one they could survive. The human collapsed to his knees, exhausted, but smiling faintly as he looked up at the Freet Titans. Told you. I wasn't here to hurt you, and Caelthrix lowered his massive head, meeting the human eye to eye, voice filled with awe and respect. You are small, but your courage outweighs mountains. As Virelia let out a low, rumbling chuckle. Perhaps, not all humans deserve our hatred, and with a mighty effort, the dragons summoned what little fire remained within them, creating a protective barrier of warmth around the trembling human, shielding him from the storm. Snow swirled violently around them. But for the first time, it could not extinguish their spirit. The human looked up in wonder as the dragons prepared to rise, chains shattered, hearts rekindled, destiny rewritten, and Caelthrix spoke words that echoed like a vow carved into the bones of the world. From this day forward, dragons will remember that it was a human who gave us freedom. And as the storm began to slowly weaken, as if acknowledging the shift in fate, the camera of the mind pulls back to reveal a powerful truth. Sometimes the smallest being can change the fate of legends, and if you want to witness more epic HFY stories where humanity rises against impossible odds, defies fear, and reshapes destiny, make sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and join a growing community that celebrates courage, hope, and the unstoppable power of the human spirit.